Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen advertisements throughout your lives, especially when you were younger. Like I'm sure we've watched television shows and then immediately it'd go into an advertisement about McDonald's. And I know when I was growing up, I always wanted those Happy Meals because they had those really epic toys of Pokemon or something. And that's what I wanted. And I'd be the one that would beg my parents just for the toy. I could care less about, the food itself. I remember I just wanted everything on there. Things would just seem so amazing because you would see all these kids, they're all happy and they're running around with these new toys or, building things, and that's what I wanted. And unfortunately, my parents wouldn't give it to me no matter how much I begged them. But as I grew up, I started watching kids just react to how their parents wouldn't give them things, especially seeing younger kids just watch something on TV and then go up to their parents oh, I want this, can I have this? They would just beg. They wouldn't say please, there would be no justification to it. And they're kids, there's not gonna be any justification, they just want it because they see others with it. So today I want to talk about the negative effects of advertisements on children, how it can, one of the things that it can do to them, and how it affects their relationship with their parents. And so I have David Kunkel, who wrote an article for the American Psychology Association. He says that children who are under 8 accept messages as truthful, accurate, and unbiased because they are so innocent how no matter what they're doing, they look at it and they accept it as that, no matter what you tell them. And with that, it leads to just kids watching shows watching tricks, watching these advertisements, and they want those sugary foods. That's what advertisers generally look for, is to pertain to those younger generations because they want those sugary cereals, they want those candies or soda. They'll slap a bunny on there just to make it amusing for the kids, the colors and everything. When it comes down to it, Trix is very sugary, and it was one of my favorite ones until I found out how bad it is for you because there's no real nutritional value to it. And according to psychologist Brian Wilcox, who's a professor of psychology at the University of Nebraska, with all these advertisements of all these sugary cereals and everything, it leads to the epidemic of obesity. And with all these advertisements, they all gear towards things that children would usually want, and they'll usually they like those things that have those commercials and everything. And so I have a video here. I used TubeChop to show 2 advertisements that are geared towards children, and they just help to illustrate that they use animation and everything to draw kids in.
Wildberry red! Wildberry red! The fruity taste! Wildberry taste! Funny! Wildberry! All I want is to taste them! A part of our breakfast is nutritious!
Silly rabbit, tricks are for kids.
Trix fruit-flavored cereal with new Wildberry red swirls!
Making a Happy Meal with Ronald and Friends.
Rebel, hot fries coming through.
Ronald, the Happy Meal isn't happy yet.
Coochie coochie goo.
He just needed a good tickle.
Okay, so those commercials hope to show how they gear towards children, especially with Ronald McDonald and everything, unless you hate clowns, which I do. They're gonna like it because it seems fun, it seems colorful, especially with that Trix one. It's just the animation that really draws in the kids. I think that's what kids want more out of anything. Besides the product itself, it's more of just the intrigue of everything in there. And And so advertisers tend to spend 2.5 billion a year to promote just restaurants, and then they spend 2 billion just to promote food products. So they spend a lot, and a lot of that money is spent just towards the youth. And since they spend so much money promoting all these things, only 3% is for healthy food. So a lot of it is just those sugary cereals, those new restaurants, the like late night munchie meals at like Taco Bell. So they hardly ever see anything that's about like broccoli or something. So that's one of the effects of advertisements. And so the way that it relates to the tension that parents have with children, it gives the kids a sense of entitlement. Since you see so many kids on those advertisements having fun and everything, like it gives the viewer, the younger viewers, the idea that why can't they have it? Why should they be excluded from this? So there's a little cartoon by Wilcox. It's see mom, normal people get to eat these tasty snacks 5 times an hour. So they see these advertisements daily, because that's what kids do most of the time, besides like school, sleep. Most of their time is spent in front of the TV. Even when they're eating, they're watching TV. And so it puts a lot of pressure on the parents' purchasing decisions, because these kids will throw tantrums. And I'm sure you guys have seen like kids just throw a fit as they're like walking through a supermarket because they see something that they want. And so it causes the kids to just act out. And as they're acting out, it depends on how the parents react to it. And so it can change how the kids act in the future as well. And so advertisements tend to create really bad eating habits in children, and it also does cause strain with the parents because of how they react if they don't get it. So in conclusion, parents need to be just more careful about what they expose their children to and be able to communicate with their children about the things they see and how to handle it. Because if you don't tell your child why they can't have it, they'll just keep throwing that tantrum.
All right, well, DeMonte.
He's not here.
0. I guess that just leaves it to me. Angela, I thought that the opening takes a little while to get going. It's a minute and 15 seconds before we know exactly what the purpose statement is. I know it's got something to do with advertising, but it sounds like it's much more specific when you get to that purpose statement. You need to be a little tighter at the beginning of the speech. I did think that you had a pretty good preview of what the content was going to be, but in the body of the speech, I didn't hear an organizational outline being referred to. I didn't think that material was all over the place, but it didn't necessarily feel like it was building, and I think as a consequence, you need more transitions, and you need to have a clearer structure in the body of the speech. At first, there was some good supporting material. You had some statistics on how much gets spent to do the advertising, and I thought that was pretty reasonable. There was an expert talking about how kids perceive the ads on television. And then after that, it really just sounds like it comes down to your view of this, that kids are mindless robots that do whatever the TV says, and as a result, they eat a bunch of sugar and are fat asses as a consequence. I think the relationship is a lot more complicated than that. I don't deny the point that you're trying to make, but I think you can make the point with a little bit more information. As it is, it just seems like it's, you got just enough to introduce what the idea of the concept is, and then I'm going to tell you what I think about it in that process. And I'm glad to have your opinion, but I'd like it to be supported a little bit more. I like the video clips; they were fine. Although we got the whole ad for the tricks, and I guess we had a 30-second ad and a 15-second ad or something like that was going on. We got both ads. If there was a reason to break them up, it might have been nice to separate them a little bit so that you could analyze it. I didn't hear any experts saying that those advertising techniques that are used in those ads that you showed are the kinds of things that kids respond to. I heard you say that, and the Tricks Rabbit, I responded more to the Elvis stuff than the Tricks Rabbit thing, but that's just me. And I know Ronald McDonald creeps you out because he's a clown, but the idea that McDonald's is using these characters that are child friendly, for instance, I'm sure that there are plenty of people who've commented on how much more likely kids are going to watch those ads because they have those characters in it. And you didn't make an unreasonable point. I just thought it was,
More support to it.
Yeah. It was fine. It was fine. All right. Thank you.
Did we cooperate?
Second clap. I don't know.